Hare Krishna, welcome all the devotees for Shubha Mangalarati. I also thank all the Japa leads. So let's do our next activity of this morning Zoom session. So the all auspicious Srimad Bhagavatam class with a special topic. So let's start with a short kirtan. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्ष्मुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपात्मामहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुतीरतरं परमानन्दमाधवं हरे कृष्ण. So the topic is the glories of chanting the holy name of the Lord, and also uh, the highest and greatest religious principles of our life. So this has been an extraction from sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I will be just reading out and I will try to explain as much as possible. So in these verses, it is mentioned that if one chants the holy name of Hari and then dies because of an accidental misfortune, such as falling from the top of a house, slipping and suffering broken bones while traveling on the road, being bitten by a serpent, being afflicted with pain and high fever, or being injured by a weapon, one is immediately absolved from having to enter hellish life even though he is sinful. So, this is the greatest benediction by chanting the holy name of the Lord. So, if here it is mentioned that even accidental death of a devotee does not take him to the hellish planets. So, we should not misunderstand that. If what happens if devotee does not die in the auspicious days or any normal weekdays, if he leaves his body, where will he go? These kind of doubts we may get. But whole our life we chant the holy name of the Lord, we serve the Vaishnavas and their lordships. And how can the Lord deny him to come back to the Godhead? So that's why to substantiate these kind of doubts and to clarify all of us in Srimad Bhagavatam, so many verses have been mentioned. But for us, it is to understand and follow it. Even if a person falling from a top of a tree or natural calamities or slipping and suffering and broken bones or being met with an accident or dies in the air itself, maybe in the helicopters, aeroplanes. But if he is a devotee, throughout his life he served their lordships, and Lord surely will take him back to Godhead. We may not be knowing, we may not be able to perceive this, but we can able to understand by reading the scriptures. And also it is mentioned authorities who are learned scholars and sages have carefully ascertained that one should atone for the heaviest sins by undergoing a heavy process of atonement, and one should atone for higher sins by undergoing a lighter atonement. Chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, however, vanquishes all the effects of sinful activities, regardless of whether heavy or light. So, though we have committed gross sins, gross mistakes, or offenses, and And though for atonement is recommended for him. Atonement means it is a prayachitta. This prayachitta, whether for bigger sinful activities, bigger atonement, something like that. But here, regardless of all of this, whether we have done gross sins or less sins, and simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, will relieve all of us from these kinds of sinful activities. That is another glory of chanting the holy name of the Lord, because all the authorities have been ascertained from referring to the previous scriptures. Although one may neutralize the reactions of sinful life through austerity, charity, vows, and other such methods, these pious activities cannot uproot the material desires in one's heart. However, if one serves the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, he is immediately freed from all such contaminations. So we may do so many tapas and so many other charities and vows, and there are various methods prescribed in the Vedic scriptures. And we may, to some extent, come out of these sinful activities, but to uproot the material desires already uh, seated in the heart, it cannot be uprooted because the birth and death is not actually the solution, but whereas the subtle body is remains even though if you have changed millions of bodies. So this subtle body contains manas, buddhi, and ahankar, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These three elements will remain even though we change so many bodies. Then how to escape that? That means our purva vasanas or purva pravurti, the previous habits, either good or bad, they remain the same. And the only thing, the body is changed. So then how to overcome of these sinful activities means, but even, however, if one serves Radha Krishna, all the Vaishnavas, and he is immediately freed from all such type of contaminations, and chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra will uproot from the grassroots, and there will not be any roots remaining, so that it will not germinate again. In this way, chanting the holy name of the Lord is very, very powerful, very, very auspicious. And that's why daily in the morning, whatever problems we have, maybe we travel so much and we go to bed late, or we are tired, or we may have so many other engagements. We need to orchestrate all of these them and schedule it very nicely and balance it properly. And whatever case it may be, we must come to the devotees association, either offline or online, and chant the holy name of the Lord. In this way, we can escape so many problems in our life also. And also here one analogy is given: as a fire burns dry grass to ashes, so the holy name of the Lord, whether chanted knowingly or unknowingly, burns to ashes without fail all the reactions of one's sinful activities. Just like a fire burns dry grass to ashes, because wet grass or green grass, it is not easily burnt. But whereas, dry grass is there, and the fire catches it very easily and burns it. Why this analogy is given in Srimad Bhagavatam? For our better understanding. Whether we chant the holy name of the Lord knowingly, unknowingly also, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. When we chant this holy name of the Lord, our sinful reactions, which are coming in a racket fast or slowly or medium speed, whatever it may be, they all will be burned to ashes. Then what else we want? And at the same time, we should not do this papa buddhi. We should not commit the seventh offense, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. And this is the papa buddhi, thinking that, oh, all my upcoming papas, what I am going to do will be nullified. Let me do all sinful activities. That does not save us from this kind. So we must be very careful. So, if a person unaware of the effective potency of a certain medicine takes that medicine or is forced to take it, it will act even without his knowledge because its potency does not depend on the patient's understanding. Similarly, even though one does not know the value of chanting the holy name of the Lord, if one chants knowingly or unknowingly, by chanting will be very effective. So we come across various people during the festivals like Janmashtami, Vaikuntha Ekadasi, or Kartik Damodar month, and we make people chant the holy name of the Lord. But the person, if he chants knowingly, unknowingly, or if he has a desire or does not have a desire, but however he sits and chant the holy name of the Lord, he will get all kinds of benefits, and the reactions of his sinful reactivities will be nullified because Srimad Bhagavatam says that he will get all fortune. So, in this way, the Supreme Lord has given this wonderful opportunity in whatever planet we are. So, these are all the religious codes. In Srimad Bhagavatam 6.3.19, it is mentioned that Dharmantu Shakshat Bhagavat Pranitam Navai Vidur Rishyo Napi Devaha Na Siddha Mukhya Asura Manushyaha Kutonu Vidyadara Charanadayaha. Real religious principles are enacted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although fully situated in the mode of goodness, even the great rishis who occupy the topmost planets cannot ascertain the real religious principles, nor can the demigods or the leaders of Siddhaloka, to say nothing of the asuras, ordinary human beings, Vidyadharas, and Charanas. So here we can understand there are three planetary systems, three loka, lower, middle, and upper planetary systems. Like normally when you do the mm, punya karma, we will go to the higher planets, and we do the papa karma, we go to the lower planets. But if you do both of them, we stay back in these middle planetary systems. But in this words, it is mentioned that although we are these topmost planets like in Siddhaloka, such people, they may not be knowing the real religious principles. What is the real religious principle? That is created, that is enacted by the Supreme Lord Himself. That's why in this verse 6.3.19 it is mentioned, Dharmantu Shakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. The real religious principles are enacted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna Himself, and not by mundane people. So there are three famous verses in Srimad Bhagavatam, and this which I am going to share with my um, PPT. You can also see that and take great benefit out of that. So as you know very well, there are 12 Mahajans are there. So in these 12 Mahajans also, who are they? What are they doing? What is their message also we can get to know today. So this is from 6th canto, 3rd chapter, verse number 20 and 21. Swayambhu Narada Shambhu Kumara Kapilo Manu Prahalado Janako Bhishmu Bhalir Vayashakir Vayam Dvadashayate Vijanimo Dharmam Bhagavatam Bhataha गुह्यं विशुद्धं दुर्बोधं यां ज्ञात्वा मृतम् अश्नुते. Lord Brahma, Bhagavan Narada, Lord Shiva, the four Kumaras, Lord Kapila, the son of Devahuti, Swayambhuva Manu, Prahlad Maharaj, Janak Maharaj, grandfather Bhishma, Bali Maharaja, Chukadev Goswami, and myself, means Yamadharmaraj, know the real religious principles. My dear servants, this transcendental religious principle, which is known as Bhagavad Dharma, or surrender unto the Supreme Lord and love for Him, is uncontaminated by the material modes of nature. See how wonderful it is. The real Dharma of the Lord is uncontaminated. It is very confidential and difficult for ordinary human beings to understand. But if by chance one fortunately understands it, he is immediately liberated and thus he returns home back to Godhead. So, while protecting Ajamilla and also enlightening his own servants, Yamadhar Maharaj, is very nicely explaining here the real religious principles. And he says that this is a very secret information, this is very confidential. But for ordinary human beings, they can never understand. It's very, very difficult. And also he says that, but if by chance one fortunately somehow or the other understands it, he is immediately liberated. And what is the result of that liberation? Thus he returns home back to Godhead, to the Golok Vrindavan. And by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, because Prabhupada spent so many days and nights to translate all this Gita, Bhagavatam from Sanskrit to English, and he not only translation, he has given this message to each and everyone all over the world. Because of Prabhupada's mercy, we got this wonderful knowledge, and we should properly utilize it and spread it and share it as much as possible with others. And that is also one of the instructions of our Srila Gurudev, that preaching mission. So we move forward. And another words here, the purport and says that in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna refers to Bhagavad Dhamma as the most confidential religious principle. Sarva guhyatamam guhyat guhyataram. Krishna says to Arjuna, because you are my very dear friend, I am explaining to you the most confidential religion. Sarva dharman paridyacha mamekam sharanam braja. Give up all the duties and surrender unto me. One may ask, if this principle is very rarely understood, then what is the use of it? In answer, Yamaraj states herein that this religious principle is understandable if one follows the parampara system of Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the four Kumaras, and other standard authorities. There are 4 lines of disciplic succession from Lord Brahma, one from Lord Shiva, one from Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, and one from the Kumaras. The disciplic succession from Lord Brahma is called Brahma Sampradaya. The succession of Lord Shiva, Shambhu, is called the Rudra Sampradaya. The one from the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi ji, is called the Sri Sampradaya. And the one from the Kumaras is called the Kumara Sampradaya. One must take shelter of one of these 4 Sampradayas in order to understand the most confidential religious system. In the Padma Purana, it is said that Sampradaya Vihineya Mantrastu Nishpalamataha. If one does not follow the 4 recognized disciplic successions, his mantra or initiation is useless. Because initiation is given at the time of initiation, mantra is also given, japa, tulsi beads also given. And if that is not done through proper disciplic succession, and that mantrastu nishpalaha, that mantra does not have any value also. In the present day, there are many asampradayas or sampradayas which are not bona fide, which have no link to authorities like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the Kumaras, or Lakshmi. People are misguided by such sampradayas. By Shastra, the Shastras say that being initiated in such a sampradaya is a useless waste of time, for it will never enable one to understand the real religious principles. Okay.
Which purport, Prabhu, is this?
This is
not this purport, the next state, PPT.
Yeah.
The purport you read was from the same.
Same.
Okay.
Because 2 slokas are combined, 6, 3, 20, and 21, clubbed together. And this is the purport of that 6, 3, 20, 21. And in the next, the same, it is continuation. This I have extracted these words from ISKCON design tree. It talks about Sampradaya Vihineye Mantrastu Nishpala Mataha. If anybody is not initiated in a bona fide Sampradaya, then the mantra which he received is useless. So in our neighborhood sometime back, one lady came to our satsang And I just asked them to introduce themselves. They were introducing. That lady was mentioning she got initiated in one of the uh, organizations in the society. I just asked her how it got connected to the real sampradaya. Then she could not able to establish the identity of that sampradaya. So then I referred this sloka 6/3/2021, and she got really shocked. Oh, such things are there. Yes, it is there. We are supposed to follow. If you are not from Sri Sampradaya, Brahma Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Kumar Sampradaya, which Sampradaya you belong to? So when we go to any seminar or even to uh, do the railway reservation or a flight ticket, they ask you your ID. What is your ID? And where are you belonging? What is your date of birth? And in some schools, colleges, they ask your parentage also. Who is your father? And these days, they are also asking, who is your mother? What does she do? Mother has got major role these days. So coming to the point, these are the identity point of view. And if your identity is not proper or not bona fide, you will not get benefits. Just like if you do not present your credentials for applying Aadhaar card or any other cards, you will not be allowed. So, in this way, we must understand the real religious principles. Where are we from? What are we following? Are we really following any religious principle? Is it referred in Gita Bhagavatam or has got any reference to this? If that is not there, and we are going to the wrong path, that's why in 6.3.22 also it is mentioned, Etavam eva loke asmin pumsan dharma parasmrutaha bhakti yogo bhagavati tannama grahanadivi. That means, please note this point, it's very, very important. Devotional service beginning with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the ultimate religious principles for the living entity in human society. I repeat, devotional service beginning with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the ultimate religious principles for the living entity in human society. So we must be very careful where are we associated with, to whom we are speaking, what we are reading. These principles are very, very essential for us. Not just like, in society, so many people are there, so many spiritual leaders are there, and we need to ask them from which sampradaya they belong to, what are they speaking. So one so-called spiritual leader is not spiritual leader, he himself claims like that. And somebody asked, sir, did you read Bhagavad Gita? Then he said, oh, that is very big book, I didn't have enough time to read this. But he is so-called spiritual leader. He talks about so much. And what is the use? And in another location, another gentleman, he talks about so much about scriptures and Hinduism, and he is not belong to any sampradaya. Mm. So they don't take it. They never quote any sastric slokas, and they never knew the essence of Gita Bhagavatam. But still, this material world, they are called big leaders. In this way, Kali Yuga, the most fallen people, they are the most unfortunate people. But however, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, and he has given the ultimate devotional service, which exactly Yamaraj mentioned, that the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the beginning of devotional service, and also it is the ultimate goal, chanting the holy name of the Lord. So I encourage all of you, and I also appreciate you that you daily come, whatever the case may be, whatever the condition may be, daily morning you come on this Zoom session, you join the japa, and also hear Gita and Bhagavatam. And in this way, we are properly protected, and we should never miss out the services of the Lord and chanting the holy name of the Lord. Okay, so I stop here. And if you have any questions, comments, you are welcome. Gandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, so the three famous verses is 6:20, 21, and 22. Is it correct, Prabhu?
Yes, bro. Yeah. Actually, when you read the sixth canto, second chapter, and third chapter, these two chapters mostly they are covering the chanting the holy name of the Lord.
So today, which you started this atonement price, the entire thing covers from the same chapter, Prabhu.
Sixth canto, second chapter, and third chapter. Because Emerald has to, enlighten and update and upgrade his own servants. Otherwise, simply they go and arrest each and everyone. Again, Emerald have to come. He has to clarify why all this circus. So he wants to give a clarity so that they follow it properly.
Yes, sir.